Hello. Let's see. Okay, welcome to today's presentation here on how you can create your own passive house for your health and improve the indoor air quality of your home. Let's just jump right in. Should be a pretty quick presentation with maybe 10-15 minutes of your time. Okay, let's go on. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Cheryl Lima, and I'm born and raised here in the East Bay, right in Hayward, grew up in Union City, and currently for the last 10 years, I've been working on single family home design in additions and remodels and constructing new custom homes as well as accessory dwelling units. Um, so what got me interested in high performance homes was when I started working on my designing my own home, and when I started thinking about what I would want in my personal residence, I came across passive house methodology, and it's great because it sets a measurable standard for the efficiency and quality of how your home is built and how it performs as you live in it. So if you're located here in the San Francisco Bay Area and are interested in this type of design and construction method, I'd be happy to work with you. So let's just keep moving forward. Today we're going to talk about the key principles of Passive House and how you can apply it to your project. And the way I see it is if you're going to be investing in your property, you might as well do it right the first time. And with the way climate change is going, whether you accept it or not, it's a factor that we have to deal with. So Passive House allows you to stay ahead of, the trend as far as building advancement. Um, so the term passive, it's been around for a while with like different meanings. Since the beginning of civilization, we have had to design our environment, our built environment around the natural patterns of the sun and weather based on your location. And with the invention of mechanical systems and more sturdy building materials, we've been detached from nature. Um, and and actually in the 70s, the passive solar movement started, or I guess in the 60s it started up again. And but that form of design was based more or wasn't didn't quantify the effects of energy, and a lot of times they put too much glazing or too many windows in direct sunlight, so it would create a very uncomfortable home environment or building environment. So with Passive House, which started in the 90s, it it was actually created by a physicist who got into the science of or the physics of thermodynamics and building science. So it can get very technical, which is why most homeowners don't know about it. But well, this next slide is a quick video to help explain it. Let's see. Oh, I hope you can hear this.
Passive House explained in 90 seconds. Does your house have a heater in the basement or maybe a fireplace? Probably also a central air conditioner or maybe a window unit. Did you ever wonder if it was necessary? In 1991, Dr. Wolfgang Feist built the first passive house in Germany based on research from all over the world. Here's what he did. 1. Proper insulation. It's just like wearing the right winter jacket. It also doesn't need a heater. 2. No air leakages. There should be no holes, small or large, to let warm air out of the house. 3. No thermal bridges. A thermal bridge is like a road for heating energy in which warmth can travel right through your walls. As a matter of fact, most of our houses have thermal highways in our walls where heat can easily travel to the outside. Plus, the house needs proper windows, most of the time with triple pane glass, and it needs to be oriented properly so the sun can heat it in the winter and the shade is provided in the summer. And it uses an HRV, a device that provides the inside with fresh air without letting the heat out. Add all these things up, and it turns out your house doesn't need a heater or an air conditioner. So where does the heat come from? A passive house needs 90% less energy, and that can easily be supplied by your body heat, the sun, your appliances, light bulbs, and even your TV. This saves you a lot of money on your heating bill and helps preserve the environment. Did we make it in 90 seconds? You bet we did.
Okay, so that just gave you a quick overview of what passive house covers. So let's get into a little bit more detail of the principles. So the first one was super insulation. So the example was a jacket that they showed. Another example would be like your Yeti cooler or thermostat. So the thicker the insulation, the more you can keep hot air or hot temperatures hot and cold temperatures cold. So compared to glass, where it immediately escapes since it's not insulated. In this case, in the form of a Yeti, or this is Starbucks, but in these type of coffee thermoses, they're vacuum insulated for the most part. But in a construction or building, we would use insulation. So the insulation could either go on the inside, like if you're doing a remodel and you can't access the exterior, you would install insulation in between your studs, or even in a remodel, you could do it on the outside. So this is mineral wool here. Rock wool is a manufacturer of this. And in Passive House, we are insulating the whole building. So not just the walls and the roof, but also underneath the slab, if you're gonna have a slab foundation, and underneath the floor for a crawl space. And a lot of times passive house is at least 5 times more than what code requires, or 3 to 5 times more. So in our climate, we're somewhat temperate or warm. We right now by code, you're required to have R19 wall insulation, where passive house would warrant maybe R40 or R50. And it all depends on how your home is designed or laid out. The second principle is airtightness. So airtight construction, you want to seal all gaps in your building envelope. So I don't know if you've ever heard or felt it on a stormy day. You can hear whistling coming through small cracks, um, whether it be like your receptacle or drafts underneath the door. So the air tightness is a big component, and it creates uh, a very sturdy building structure, because you're keeping out moisture, and you're keeping the thermal insulation dry and airtight. So, I mean, it's called airtight, but there is a small percentage of air that gets in. Nothing is 100% airtight. So, yeah, so this reduces it allows your insulation to perform at its desired performance, and it helps keep pests out. So, all the little cracks and nooks and crannies where they can get in should be sealed. And this is a test with Passive House to get certification, or I mean, you could also test it just to see what your air changes per hour are um, in your building by doing an air blower test. And that's where air is being blown into the or pressure is being the interior environment's being pressurized. And you can even have do a smoke test where, you know, the healthy form of smoke is pushed through the home, and you can sort of see windows and door openings to see if any smoke is coming out, and that would tell you where you need to tighten it up. So the third principle is to eliminate thermal bridges. So these are points in the building that could possibly create a condition for potential heat loss. So depending on like materials, like say that your house has a balcony and the framing of the balcony floor cuts through and connects to the interior floor, that potential framing, you know, where the joist cuts through, that would be a thermal bridge at that point where heat can escape. So during the design process and modeling your building, we're looking at those potential points where heat could be lost and figuring out ways to mitigate that. So the reason why we want to reduce the thermal bridges is it could create a inconsistent temperature, as you can see in these thermal photos here of like looking at the corner of a wall. So whenever you have cold, where a cold temperature meets a cold surface meets hot air, there's a potential for condensation, and which is, you know, when water reaches its liquid point, and then that causes mold. So, and then you have mold, then you have very it could cause respiratory illnesses and increases the rate of asthma. So, and actually 70% of existing homes have mold. So there's a good chance you have mold in your house. I know I do. So like I said, I'm in the process of designing my personal passive house. Um, yeah, so we want to avoid this temperature difference here and have, you know, keep the warm air with the warm temps, and then have the exterior, you know, air not the cold, and say in the winter this would be cold air. We don't want to mix it with our warm insulation. Okay, and the fourth principle is high performance windows. So going back to that analogy of a thermos or the jacket, you don't want to, the windows, you know, we need them for, you know, to code, we need at least, okay, I don't want to get too technical, but you need a window in every room. So we need them for our health and for building code. But because of the way, you know, windows and glass is normally not insulated, or just regular glass is not insulated. So we want to get glass windows that are insulated, typically, you know, double or triple pane even, because that air gap in between the window panes allows for insulation. Because again, going back to, you know, we want to avoid condensation. So that's where the cold surface temperature touching a warm temperature could cause moisture to turn into liquid. So we want to up our investment in the windows and actually when it comes to Passive House, there is an increased cost in window installation, or the windows you're picking out are going to be cut more custom and special ordered. But this ensures the insulation and performance of your overall building. So you pay upfront a little bit more, but in the long run of your it pays you back over time, the investment. So, and then also with the windows, we want to make sure that we're designing the glass and windows, the frame to reduce the amount of air tightness. So we want to avoid maybe even sliders and single hung, double hung windows, because, excuse me, that creates potential for cracks for air to get through. And then also the type of glass, we want to make sure that it's a glass that is not, you've probably heard of low emittance excuse me, glass, or solar heat gain coefficient. We want depending on your location and where the window is, we want less heat gain. Yeah, so we can optimize the next principle, which is mechanical ventilation and heat recovery. So because we have an airtight barrier, the home is airtight, we want to ensure that fresh air is always circulating through the building or your home. And that's done through like an HRV or an ERV. So the energy recovery ventilator actually, there's a difference. There's HRV and then there's the ERV. So the ERV would be ideal. And that also takes interior air, filters it, and then pushes it back in to your space. So you're using a combination of exterior and interior air, and always filtering it through. So this helps, or this creates, the improved indoor air quality because you're always having fresh air cycling through your space. And during the time, hopefully we don't have to go through it again, but here in the Bay Area, we've experienced, those smoky days. Remember a couple of years ago when it was pretty orange outside, and just the fires from, the North Bay, where that smoke was coming down to us. And what a passive home would do would kind of create that barrier with the air tightness barrier between the exterior and your interior, and clean that air before it gets to before you breathe it in. So, this machine here acts as the lungs and not your personal body. It's not the filters here, not your body. Another thing with the ventilation system through Passive House is you want to keep a comfortable humidity level. So inside your home, a lot of times in the winter, it gets pretty dry here with having the heater on, all the blasting all the time. It creates a dry air environment. And ideally, we want to have 40 to 50% humidity at all times to prevent dehydrated mucus membranes or dry skin. I know I get a lot of dry skin in the winter. And that just helps reduce your chance of getting sick or even just that discomfort of like dryness in your face. Like, I know that bugs me a lot. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. It gets very technical. So that's where someone like me can help you get through the science side of it. But Still the overall process as far as design and adding to your home is similar. You know, you can have whatever you want, you know, small, large, high ceilings, low ceilings, or, you know, minimum ceiling heights, or this passive house applies to every building and even commercial apartments. Like we're hopefully in the next, you know, few years this movement expands and we have more energy efficient homes out there. And when when your home consumes less energy, you're paying less for energy. So, you know, I've done calculations for homes where you're reduced from $2,000 a year to $80 a year as far as your total electricity costs. So besides like the cost savings, environmental impact, the main benefit is your indoor air quality is definitely increased, and that just improves the overall quality of your everyday life. So it's something that I am aspiring to, and I hope to help many others obtain a passive house as well. All right, well, feel free to email me or text me at my number there. Still in the process of getting these links together, but you should be able to email me or give me a call. All right, thank you, and hope you have a great day.